Unfortunately, that very scenario can happen to you and anyone else, and it happens every year. Good afternoon, everyone. Country Flyboy here, and today we're talking about spins. They're dangerous and they are deadly, but damn are they fun. Now, the FAA requires flight instructors to have spin training on their initial training, when they're first getting their instructor certificate. Spin training, that's the only time spin training is required, sadly. Spin training should be required for all pilots, especially commercials, but unfortunately it's not. However, I highly encourage all pilots to get out there and get some spin training. It's definitely worth it. Now, not all aircraft are certified for spins. Fortunately, there is an aircraft today that is not only certified for a spin, it's fun to spin. And it's got a bite to it. We're in the A2A Piper Cub today. And if you've never flown this aircraft, you don't know what you're missing. I don't like to use the term must-have with Flight Sim add-ons because everybody's flying habits in Flight Simulator is different. But this is one add-on I will make an exception. This is definitely a must-have add-on. You will learn stick and rudder flying skills in this aircraft. It is as simple can be, and it is fun. Alright, now, a spin. I'm reading the FAA Airplane Flying Handbook here. A spin may be defined as an aggravated stall that results in what is termed auto-rotation, wherein the airplane follows a downward corkscrew path as the airplane rotates around the vertical axis. The rising wing is less stalled than the descending wing, creating a rolling, yawing, and pitching motion. The airplane is basically being forced downward by gravity, rolling, yawing, and pitching in a spiral path. So basically what happens in a spin is during uncoordinated flight and stall, if you stall, one wing will become more stalled than the other, and this forces the aircraft into a spin. And spins can be deadly. Now, stalls, they're pretty easy to recover. Just return the aircraft to less than critical angle, let the airflow resume over the wings. A spin, however, is aggravating the stall, making it harder to recover. Alright, so we're going to start taxiing out to the runway. Winds are calm today, so we'll just take off from right over there. Alright, now I want to stress that a spin can happen during any phase of flight. The aircraft can stall at any attitude and any airspeed, so the aircraft can stall at any phase of flight. Therefore, a spin can happen at any phase of flight. Now, what happens in a spin is during uncoordinated flight and you stall, one wing will be producing more drag and less lift than the other wing. And this causes the aircraft to term auto-rotate. It just rotates by itself with no input from the pilot. That's what auto-rotation means. Now, that's normally synonymous with helicopters during an engine failure, but in this case, auto-rotation simply means the aircraft will start rotating about the spin axis with no input from the pilot whatsoever, except for recovery and actually putting it into that situation. So, it'll happen at any attitude, any airspeed, and it happens when you do a stall, be it clean or dirty, and you're uncoordinated during that stall. Term simple can be. Alright, so in order to know how to recover for a spin, we need to know how to enter a spin. A spin happens during uncoordinated stalls. So if you're practicing stalls one day and you don't keep the aircraft coordinated, you could enter a spin. Now, most aircraft in Flight Simulator, even third-party add-ons, are notoriously difficult to spin. This is because of the physics modeling in them. Not every add-on airplane models its physics accurately, and most of the defaults don't. So, even default aircraft are really hard to spin, and a lot of third-party add-ons are. However, A2A is noted for being some of the best aerodynamic modeling out there. This Piper Cub is incredibly easy to stall, and when she stalls and spins, she has a bite to her. Alright, to enter a spin, we're first going to stall the airplane. So as the airplane stalls, I'm going to start banking left, but rudder right. And we'll just hold it there as the plane stalls. And we'll enter a spin. So to stop a spin, we rudder in the opposite direction of the spin, and then slowly pull out of the dive. Make sure you slowly pull out of the dive, because you're going to be fast at this point. See that? Now as we slow down, we're going to add in power and get the aircraft back in the climb. So basically, to recover from a spin, you bring the power out, use rudder to counteract the spin. So if we're spinning to the left, you want to use right rudder. Spinning to the right, you want to use left rudder. The reason you don't use ailerons is because your wings are stalled. And remember from our 172 videos that a stalled wing has little aileron effectiveness. Ailerons are very mushy during slow flight conditions, so they're not going to help you during a spin. You can use ailerons all day and they won't do anything, except aggravate the stall and the spin. They'll make it worse. Alright, after that, you want to make, so power is out, elevators neutral, ailerons are neutral, rudder to stop the spin, and then elevators to pull out of the dive. And then, as you pull out of the dive, roll past level flight attitude and right into a climb attitude. As you slow down, add power in so that you start climbing and stay climbing. And that's basics recovery from a spin. The recovery procedure for spins is different for every aircraft. Even the aircraft of a similar make and model, depending on the equipment they installed, are different. So it could be different between aircraft, but for the most part, the same make and model will have the same recovery procedure. In the Cessna 172, the spin recovery is pretty much the same as standard, or what we would think is standard, which is power out, opposite rudder to stop the spin, neutral elevator and ailerons, then back pressure to pull the out of the dive, and then into a small climb attitude. Alrighty, so I've decreased power. We're going to bring the plane and just stall it. As we go through 60 knots, I'll increase the power so we get a left turn from the prop. Oh, y'all left. Right aileron. Alright, we're in the spin. Power out. Opposite rudder. And pull out of the dive. Make sure you pull out gently because the speed's in the yellow arc. Right to the climb attitude. Give it some power as the speed goes back into the green arc so that we start climbing. And that is spin recovery in a Cessna 172. Now, spins are a thing that are easily avoided, provided you fly the aircraft correctly. So you need to keep the aircraft coordinated at all times throughout your flights. And you want to avoid unintentional stalls. Now, if you're out practicing stalls, that's one thing. But you want to avoid unintentional stalls, especially when you're not keeping the aircraft coordinated. Because a stall with the aircraft not coordinated, that's how a spin happens. And when you're close to the ground, like you are when you're landing or taking off, a spin can be deadly. You may not have enough time to recover from the spin. So it's important to always keep the aircraft coordinated, unlike I'm doing right now, and avoid unintentional stalls. And the key thing to remember is aviate, navigate, communicate. Fly the airplane first. That is your first priority. Everything else can wait. Alright, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you learned something about spins and spin recoveries and how to avoid them. But if you do find yourself in a spin one day, you know what to do. Now, this video is not intended to replace actual spin training with a real aircraft and a real instructor. However, it exists to provide you with the information so that you know what you're going into and know what to expect when you do your real-world spin training. And it's also to help my flight sim friends. Alright, hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time.